Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of CrossWalk. I'm your host, Tanim.
And I'm Farabi. Our today's guest had the life many dream of: a scholarship funded master's in civil engineering, a great first job in Las Vegas, and a path to that could have led to a comfortable life in the US. But instead, he chose to pack his bags and return to Bangladesh. Why? That's a big question today.
Big question.
Today, I'm gonna introduce our guest, Sibgat Mehedi Hasan. And Sibgat, if you wanna introduce yourself to our audiences.
Hello everyone and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sibgat Mehedi Hasan. I'm currently unemployed, but if I have to go through my overall journey, I would say that I first completed my bachelor's from Bangladesh. It was from IUT, Islamic University of Technology. My major happened to be in civil engineering, and my undergrad major happens to be in structural engineering. After that, I got a full scholarship to study at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and I embarked on my journey on spring of 2023. There, I did completed my master's in 1.5 years. In the meantime, I also worked as a graduate research assistant and a graduate teaching assistant under my professor during my academic tenure. And later that, I graduated on May 2024. And after that, I joined my first real life job, which happens to be as a staff professional engineer at Geotech. It was also situated in Las Vegas. Sorry about that. So after that, this was my overall journey, I would say. And I returned back home in Bangladesh on late July of 2025. So hello, everyone who's watching this podcast. It's really nice to talk to both of you. Bhai.
So, Sibgat, let's be blunt.
Yes.
Most international students would give anything to be in your shoes. A US degree, a good job, stability. So, why walk away from all of it?
That's a really good question, and I get asked this all the time. One of the reasons why I chose to pack my bags and return home would be from a very young age. I come from a family which has a business background. My dad is a businessman, he has his own construction firm, he had other businesses as well. So, from a very young age, I always wanted to venture into business. And as we are international students, doing that on an F1 visa abroad is really, really difficult. So that would be my first motivation, I would say, to return
Mhm.
back home. And it was not obviously easy. Like, it's not easy to leave everything because at 26 years old, I'm currently 26 years old. At 26 years old, when you've achieved like everything, you have a stable job. I bought my first car over there. Leaving everything
Yeah.
sucks. And Bangladesh, the current environment, it's not that good or environment friendly for people like
Mm-hmm.
our age to do something on their own. But my first motivation, I would say, would be I always wanted to start my own business, and doing that in the US would take some time, I would say, because of all the visa restrictions we have because for
Mm-hmm.
international
Yeah.
students. So I realized for in the long term, I'm currently very young, and what I've been told by my parents or the people around me who are into entrepreneurship, if you want to do something on your own or start your own venture, it's better to start on your very young. So I think I'm
Okay.
very young still, and in order to do so, leaving back home to Bangladesh would have been the perfect scenario for me. And another motivation I would say would be I come from a family which is quite different than the normal
Mm-hmm.
one, and I think that I'm the only son in my family from my parents' side. So I have a certain degree of responsibility towards my family. I never had any pressure from my parents to go settle over there or come over here as well. They completely
Mm-hmm.
gave me the freedom to choose. So from a very young age, I understood from them the dynamic of their
Yeah.
current scenario. They're becoming old. I just don't want to leave them over there right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another motivation is to spend the last moment. Or my dad's like about in his early 60s, and mom's late 50s, so they're pretty old. So that's another motivation is to spend the last few days, as long as they're alive, over in Bangladesh with them, because
Mm-hmm.
my parents would never ever come abroad. That's like a big no for them. And that's, I would say, that's the primary two motivations I had to come back to Bangladesh.
So you wrote a very heartfelt farewell post after you left US. Was this a long-term plan to come back to Bangladesh after you done your masters and all, but or is this a sudden realization that okay, this is the time I need to go back and do something, as you say, build a business?
It was the moment I got a scholarship and the moment I stepped into the country, I always knew that I'm gonna go back, and I had created a time frame on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I decided to finish my master's. My professor was kind of very strict. So he told me, I remember my first meeting with him that Sibgat, I completed my master's in 1.5 years. And I also want you to do the same for you. And
Yeah.
he also completed his PhD in 2.5 years. And he said, if you want to do a PhD, you're going to have to do the same. So I was like, okay. 1.5 years is my master's timeline. And then I wanted to get some experience in the US. I believe that the construction industry, or the industry
Mm-hmm.
overall, is quite different from the industry in on our home country,
Yes.
Bangladesh. So getting an experience over there, and that was one of the best moments of my life, getting an experience over there, because I genuinely found engineers in general,
Mm-hmm.
engineers who are really passionate about, who really want to be engineer in their life. For instance, in Bangladesh, what we've been taught, if you venture into education sector, the only thing you're gonna be in the clear cliche is like
Mm-hmm.
you either become a doctor or an engineer. So I always wanted to be an engineer from a very scratch young age, but I never found someone who's so passionate in Bangladesh. It's really hard to find people like that. But in the US, the place where I worked, everyone was so passionate. So my timeline was pretty much clearly set. So I'm gonna work. I'm gonna finish my master's as soon as possible, get some experience, probably
Mm-hmm.
6 months. I initially opted for 6 months, but I realized that 6 months is not too much. So even a year is not too much. But
Yeah.
I realized that 1 year is okay for me. I got an overall hands-on experience on the industry sector.
Mm-hmm.
So before even venturing into the US or coming to the US, I always had a clear timeline that I'm not going to spend more than 3 years in the US. So that
Okay.
was my overall timeline, which I made for myself, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Uh, I, I I wouldn't say that there are not passionate people who
Mm-hmm.
are like
Yep.
passionate about engineering or whatever they're studying in Bangladesh. It's just there are so much obstacles. They're not even related to the studies, right, in Bangladesh.
Yeah. One thing, Bhai, now that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about the obstacles,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the primary motivation, if you're not doing business or anything, or if you're doing any occupation in this country, the
Right.
primary motivation is obviously, if I'm being honest, is money.
Yeah.
And engineers in our country are so badly underpaid. It does not make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I remember, I graduated on May of 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and initially, I was supposed to go on August 2022, but unfortunately, my visa got into administrative processing. So I was on standstill for 6 months. So during this 6 months, I decided to apply to one job in the civil engineering sector. So I remember my first interview in a civil engineering firm, and I'm going to name the firm. So I went to that firm, and they said that the interview was pretty good, and they offered me like 15,000 to 20,000 taka. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at them for like 5 minutes, and this can be real. Like if you're doing your all of us are from IUT, and we understand like
Yeah.
doing your undergrad on IUT is pretty quite expensive. It's not that easy
Yeah.
Right.
compared to other institutions in Bangladesh, and we had to pay in dollars as well. So if you're like doing your bachelor's for 4 years and someone offers like 15 to 20,000 as an engineer, and in our sector, as I'm a civil engineer, it's majorly underpaid. So the
Mm-hmm.
motivation is not there. And even if you're passionate, passion doesn't pay for your food at the end of the day.
Yep.
So living in Bangladesh, and these are some of the obstacles which I face. And it's not only about money; it's also about sense of respect. People
Yeah.
in the engineering profession in Bangladesh, I do not see them being respected the same way as they are respected abroad.
Mm-hmm.
So people just treat you just like a number. Industry treats you like a number in wherever you go, but Bangladesh, and truly in Bangladesh, I never people just do not treat you like engineers. They just treat you just like a number, and these are the obstacles I think would drive anyone away from Bangladesh. And frankly speaking, there are no motivation to come back to Bangladesh unless you're very hellbound to do one thing, or if you want to start your entrepreneurship, or if you have something really personal you want in order to do something in this country. Apart from that, the obstacles are super real, and I wouldn't blame anyone leaving the country and never coming back, to be honest.
As you mentioned, you had some bitter experience just after your graduation. I'd say, did you have any fears or doubts about going back? Like, um, any kind of fears or doubts came on your thoughts?
Fear and doubts of going back to Bangladesh,
Yeah,
or
going back to Bangladesh.
yes, there were some fear and thoughts. I do not know whether the viewers know about this, but I come from a
Hmm.
political family. So I remember before the tenure, my dad's one of the I wouldn't I'm gonna say that my dad's not he was a former member of parliament of the country, so he served 3 consecutive terms. So he's fairly known in the political scenario of Bangladesh, I would say. So I remember before the 5th August, the July
Hmm.
Revolution, the political scenario in Bangladesh was completely different. So
Yeah.
my dad had multiple cases against him, false cases. So obviously, as from my parents' point of view, they wouldn't want me to come back. My dad would obviously tell me like the current scenario is not good. It's better if you do not come back. I clearly remember in 2023, late 2023, I initially was I for the viewers. Once
Hmm.
I stepped out of the country, I never came back. Came back to visit. I was initially supposed to visit. That's another story, and I'm going to say it right now. So in 2023 December, I was supposed to come back to Bangladesh to visit my family,
Hmm.
but the political scenario at that time was horrendous. It was really, really bad. So I remember my dad had multiple cases against him. So and during that time, if the government was looking for some people, and they were not
Yeah.
getting that particular people, they would opt for their family. They would harass them and stuff like that. So my dad obviously didn't want
Hmm.
me to face those similar situations. So I was initially supposed to come back on 2023 December for a month to visit my family. I could just couldn't because of the political scenario. But I never thought that even if the situation doesn't go in our favor or the country is still the same, I'm still gonna come back. So that was my overall case. Uh, so no matter whatever happened in the country, my decision was
Hmm.
I'm gonna come back anyways. But I did face some difficulties initially during my term in work as a master's student, because
Yeah.
I always wanted to visit family during the weekends,
Hmm.
not during the summer break or during the vacation time, but I just couldn't do it because of the political scenario. But it wasn't something major I felt really bad about, but it is
Mhm.
what it is.
Now that you mentioned politics, I guess, did politics play a role? I know, as you mentioned, your father is involved heavily with politics. Now that the political tide is turning in Bangladesh, people might assume that this was less about a personal choice, more about a positioning. How do you respond to
Yes.
this?
Yes. Every I have a really close friends and seniors abroad,
Hmm.
so they would also always joke about. They would say that if Hasina never stepped down, you would never go back to the country. I was like, no, that's not the case,
Yeah.
because they all the people who know me, they know that I
Mm.
would, no matter what happened, I would have come back home, because I was initially supposed to. I wasn't supposed to study at IIT as well. I was initially supposed to go abroad. So I did my
Okay.
ONA levels from Scholastica. I applied
Hmm.
for my undergrad for in Canada, and I got into good universities. I got into University of Waterloo, McMaster, York
Hmm.
University, etc. I just didn't have the motivation to spend 4 years abroad away from my parents, and I was very young at that time. So I understand it's very safe to assume for people to assume, because now that the political situation is very in our favor, I would say, or not. We do not know yet, but it's currently in our favor. It's safe to assume that people would think that that's why I came back here. If Sheikh Hasina, or the former prime minister, was in the country, they would say some of my seniors joke about it. They still do. They're like, if Hasina comes to power again, are you gonna come back again to do your PhD? But it is what it is. My first motivation from
Oh.
day one was to return back home, and not gonna lie, the life abroad is
Hmm.
amazing. Everything is amazing, and there is no motivation or no structural reason in order to return home. But that is something I really want. It's a personal choice, and I always wanted to pursue my own business, and that is why I decided to return back home.
So, as you already highlighted that it was your like it was always your plan to go back home. Um, have you ever felt comfortable like having the first paycheck or maybe having a wonderful life in US?
I'm not gonna lie. I used to get my paycheck bi-weekly on Tuesdays.
Okay. Yeah.
So I remember I was getting my last paycheck. I was like, I'm really gonna miss this. Like at the end of
Hmm.
the day, you think like you're gonna do a lot of things and you want to start your own business and stuff.
Yeah.
But I clearly remember on Tuesday morning when I received that paycheck, I was like, I'll do it for one more month. Let me do this for one more month. So obviously the life over there is extremely comfortable.
Hmm.
And I do not blame myself. I felt very in. I faced. I was in a dilemma whether I really wanted this, whether I really wanted to leave everything, sell my car off. Really love my car. Sell my car off, start again from
Yeah.
scratch at this age. So obviously it was really difficult.
Hmm.
And like I mentioned, it's not a logical choice to do unless you have something particular in structure. If you really want to pursue something of that nature or very passionate about something. And life in the US is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly miss it a lot. And especially that feeling of getting your paycheck bi-weekly, it's amazing. Not gonna lie, it's amazing. It's a different type of feeling. So
We already talked about it, but then like anyone who is still thinking that no one's gonna be like, okay, I have all this job and everything, and I'm going back to Bangladesh to start my entrepreneurial journey. What do you want to say to them? Because not a lot of people are, as we talked already, that kind of still think that this is all about because you have a family politics involvement and the tides are turning and all, you're going back to Bangladesh again.
if I have a particular advice for the people who wants to return to the country, I say that I want to live a life of zero regrets. And I'd rather have a huge risk than with a
Hmm.
huge regret in my life. So if you're really passionate about something and if you really want to change something, it's better to take the leap of faith. And certainly, not everyone has the luxury to do that. I understand.
Right.
I might have a certain degree of advantage compared to others. I understand that it's completely fine. There are people, I've known people abroad that they have to pay for their bills for their families. Their parents are old, they do not work anymore, and they have to send a particular amount of money toward for their families. And it's really difficult in order to pursue their dreams. For example, they cannot just leave their jobs and pursue their dreams because they have bills to pay and they have to contribute towards their family. So it's really difficult. I think it depends on the individual and it differs case by case. So if you really are passionate about something, you can find a way to do it regardless.
Yeah.
And the people who really want to come back to or return to the country, if my advice would be then to them would be if you really want to pursue something such as entrepreneurship, I personally live my life in a way that to have zero regrets. I'd rather have a lot of risk and a lot of failures than have zero regrets in life and then have a lot of regrets in life. So to the people who are wanting to return, so it always depends on the individual. But this is a journey.
Hmm.
I would say I'm not going to be pessimistic about it. I'm very optimistic about it. I would say in the end it would be worth it because at the end of the day, when I wake up and I see that my mom's there, my dad's there, and my food is served on the table, that's the best feeling in the world. And I
Yeah.
nothing, no amount of money or no amount of luxurious life can replicate that abroad. And that's one of the good things in Bangladesh is like in abroad you have to cook on your own. That sucked for me to be honest. But when I came here after 2.5 years and when
Mhm.
I woke up in the morning, my breakfast was ready, my lunch was ready, my dinner was ready. That's a different kind of feeling. And my parents are here. That's another different kind of motivation to have. But then again, it all completely depends on the individual, one what the individual wants in their life. But is it worth it? So far I do not know, but I'm very hopeful that it will be worth it.
I absolutely agree with you. Like having your family around, it's really a blessing. Like so, having said that, you already mentioned that you'd take risk rather than regret. So, what's your next plan in Bangladesh?
So currently just registered my company. So my next timeline would be I really want to start my own
Hmm.
developer firm. or the real estate industry. My dad already had a small construction firm, but he hasn't done too many projects over the last years because he's almost into retirement, I would say. But he has other businesses as well. But from a very young age, if I wanted to be an engineer, I always wanted to be a structural engineer. That's the engineer I could relate to. So my next plan would be I start for the 6 months. I really want to work on study the current trend, get my business set up, study the market a bit more, and then venture into developership or the real estate industry. So I would say that's my overall next 3 4 year plans is to
Mm-hmm.
work on the real estate industry for first. I have other business ideas as well, but for now, as a civil engineer, this is my bread and butter. This is what I know, and I've been studying for the last 6 years or so. So I really
Yeah.
want to work on this sector first before venturing into other sectors as well. So overall, if my short-term plan would be, not gonna lie, Bangladesh is kind of depressing compared to like abroad.
Mhm.
One of the things which I faced after coming back here was like abroad, you have your own car. If you feel like a bit depressed or you don't feel good today, you can take your car and roam around or go anywhere. There are like I'm pretty sure there are a lot of parks. There's somewhere you
Mhm.
can go or drive, go for a drive. In Bangladesh, the only place you can go are, is to restaurants, and the park sucks in Bangladesh. To be honest, there are no current environment. I have Thanmuri Lake near me, but I just it's not that it's really
Mhm.
difficult to walk over there. So I would say my current short-term plan would be to raise enough capital and money from my business. I normally go for walks every morning. So compared to the parks abroad, we are way behind, I would say. Even a normal park, we are way behind. So there are not too many places to visit in Bangladesh. You either go to a restaurant or go for a walk, and that's it. You just cannot go. And even if you want to take your car, you have to sit in the traffic jam for like 30 minutes, 1 hour, even if it's
Yeah.
like a short distance. So it sucks. So my current short-term plan would be to get enough and raise enough capital or profit
Mhm.
to get a vacation. And long-term plan would be in the next 3 4 years is to work on this industry and to clearly make a mark in this field. And the current market is very saturated. There are a lot of competitors, and it won't be easy, but I'm pretty confident that I will be able to leave a mark for sure. So that's my current plan for the next 4 years. Focus on one particular sector, which would be the real estate industry. And if I believe that I got a good grasp of this sector, then move on to other ventures as well.
Okay. I guess just to understand the mission vision behind your entrepreneurial journey or your company, um, is there a problem that you're trying to solve, or just I guess give us an idea of if you have already thought about it?
Yes, I think the current scenario or the market in the real estate industry is much more focused towards the middle income tier or the higher income tier. Not
Mhm.
at the end of the day, Bangladesh people compared. It's one thing similar which I found in the construction industry abroad and over here is the people always look forward to buying their own first home. And even in the case
Yeah.
in Bangladesh, people are more inclined towards buying a flat.
Right.
So that's something which I found very fascinating. But the main drawback or setback for people in our country is probably the income. I see that not many people can afford the flats which they really want. And construction
Yeah.
industry in Bangladesh, I would say the prices are increasing a lot compared to other years, and it's always increases. It never decreases. So my particular the developer firm which I'm aiming for is obviously I'll have like clients which are into much more luxurious products or luxury apartments, but I also want to focus on people who can really want who are in the lower to middle income tier group of people, because believe that if you want a product to stand out, it has to be able to be catered towards the all the people regardless of their income group. So that's one of the aims. And I have people or from my family who told me about this that they were looking forward to buy their own first home or house or flat, whatever you call it. But money is certainly an issue, and the current prices that doesn't reflect or it or they do not have or the current market condition doesn't reflect towards people of all income groups, and that completely sucks. In abroad, once no matter what job you get at a certain
Mhm.
age or a certain time, you are able to afford your own home because of all the loan facilities. The bank is able to give you home loans and everything. It's really
Yeah.
easy in the construction industry to buy your first home. And there are a lot of benefits for first home buyers as well. But in Bangladesh, this
Yeah.
is completely absent. So I personally, my first target would be towards the middle income tier and low income tier
Hmm.
people, or group of people, because I believe that if you're building a product, it should be accessible to everyone, regardless of the income. And that's what separates your product from everyone else.
So, how do you see your role in Bangladesh development? Like with the real estate market, how do you feel that you can contribute to the infrastructure industry?
That's a really good question. I would like to touch base on my master's journey in this one. I remember during my masters were in construction management. It was in
Okay.
civil engineering, but my major was in construction management. I had a course which was known as sustainability in construction.
Mm-hmm.
That was an eye opener for me. I remember that in the US, it's so completely different compared to structures we have in Bangladesh. Most of the
Yeah.
structures in Bangladesh are completely not environmentally friendly at all. So
Mm-hmm.
in the US, I saw structures or really large structures which had. I'm pretty sure our viewers and both of you are aware of this. There are buildings which are LEED certified. There are three
Yes.
distinctions: platinum, silver, gold.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even bronze, as far as I believe. So this is something which really opened my eye. I remember I had a course instructor for my sustainability in construction. Her name was Dr. Sophia, as far as I remember, and she gave us a link for a TED talk. It was about a living and breathing building. So
Mm-hmm.
how can a building be sustainable on its own? And it's like a completely living being. There are zero wastages, and there are as much minimum emissions from that building. So
Yeah.
that's what motivated me to create something different. And there are not too many LEED certified buildings in our country. And even in the apartment sector or the real estate sector, there are not too many buildings or infrastructures which are LEED certified. So that is something which I really want to introduce in my country. So I understand that being LEED certified can be very expensive, but it certainly
Yes.
can be worth it as well. So if I can find that,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that particular point where the profit or the cost is not too high, and I will be able to cater towards all the income groups and
Yes.
have something which is environmentally friendly, I believe that would be a good distinction and a good contribution towards the community and the infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
overall. Because in our country, which I faced in Dhaka especially, people do not uh, people just do not give any heed to the environment at all. Even the space, the buildings are like any amount of space you have, you are used that's used towards the construction of a building, which is not right. So if I want to contribute towards the environment and to do something
Yes.
different in the infrastructure or the community overall, being LEED certified would certainly be one of the starting points. Apart
Mm-hmm.
from that, I would say the main attraction what people have towards infrastructure is not only a place to stay, is also open space where they can live and breathe. And Bangladesh, and especially in Dhaka, have finding that space is extremely difficult. So being LEED certified and being able to provide spaces in a certain way in with my apartments would certainly be different in the infrastructure community in Bangladesh, and I'm looking forward to do just that, I would say.
This is so good to see someone like you, a young engineer, to study and like have the both perspective of Bangladesh and US and going back to Bangladesh to serve the country. Do you plan to mentor or collaborate with like current students or engineers who are back in Bangladesh currently now? Because I know you came to US and went back, but there are a lot of engineers back in Bangladesh. They're also like they want to
Yeah.
contribute, but there is not much scope out there, right?
Obviously, everyone wants to contribute towards the community,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but I think currently, from my point of view, I'm very young and I'm very inexperienced to contribute. But in the near future, if I'm in a successful position, if I'm in a position where I can see that I can contribute towards the community, I would like to do
Mm-hmm.
so, because I do not see not too many people taking this risk, and there aren't too many people who face something similar. I think, and everyone's journey is obviously unique in its own way, but me as an engineer, I faced a lot of difficulties just because it's really difficult to venture into the entrepreneurship, and there are not too many mentors, which I face personally. There are not too many people to look forward to because in this sector. So in the near future, obviously, it would be amazing to see other or young entrepreneurs make this move as well, and being able to mentor them. But in my current position, I believe that I'm
Mhm.
very inexperienced to do so. But in the near future, if I become a bit successful, or I am in a position to contribute towards the community, and I would obviously love to do that. And one thing which separates people from the US towards our country is like they are so passionate not only about themselves and their work, they are
Yeah.
so passionate to make other people come into their sector as well. And that's something which I found in most of the people in the industry. They're extremely passionate on what they do, and they are also extremely passionate about bringing other people into their industry as well, and being able to contribute other people towards the industry as well. And I, if I'm like 50 years old, 60 years old,
Mhm.
and I see I'm in a comfortable position, my last stages would probably be mentoring people, very young people in their early or late 20s, and encouraging them to take the risk. And if I have the opportunity to do so in the future, I would love to do that.
So, like, is your future plans more aligned to like chasing an impact or chasing an influence, like creating a role model for the future generation?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. If is my future more inclined towards impact or influence? I think you cannot create an impact without influence. To a certain
Mm.
degree, in order to create an impact, you need an influence, at least in Bangladesh. So I would say, obviously, uh, I think it more. I think everyone, to a certain degree, wants to be famous in life.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure everyone wants to be a bit
Yeah.
famous. Everyone knows their name. So obviously, to a certain degree, I would want to create an influence in the community, and overall, people would know my company or know me, that I'm the director of this company and this company does this and this. So obviously, I would want to create an influence. But if that influence doesn't create an impact in the community, then that
Mm.
influence is meaningless. So I would certainly want to create an influence in the country or the overall community. And business is all about changing the lives of the people. You just cannot bring a product, and if it does not change the life of the people, it's not that meaningful compared to other products which really genuinely wants to change the life of the people of that country. So in order to do so, you have to create an impact. So I believe that if I had to answer this question, I would love to create an influence, but in more that I would
Mhm.
love to create an impact towards
Of
the
course.
community. And this goes hand on hand. So let's see how that goes.
Very well said.
Uh, I hope this doesn't happen, but let's say if things don't work out, your business plans don't land as you thought, or as other people are saying, if let's say politics shifts again, would you regret leaving US?
Yeah, I would. Not gonna lie, I would. I'm not gonna lie. I would obviously would,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, when you have a good life, I honestly, even if the political situation is in my favor, I clearly remember the first day I landed in Bangladesh again. I'm gonna share a small story.
Mhm.
Bangladesh is probably the weirdest has the weirdest airport I've ever seen. It's so weird. Like I remember that I do not have a Bangladeshi SIM anymore. So I remember when I first landed, I couldn't even connect to the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure everyone can relate to this. No matter where you
Mhm.
go, the Wi-Fi in the airport is completely free. You can connect immediately.
Yeah.
You do not need a SIM. Normally, you do not need an OTP, what you like to call it. But in Bangladesh, it's completely different. So I had a really weird experience. When I first landed, I do not have a Bangladeshi SIM. And if you wanted to connect to the airport Wi Fi, you had to give a Bangladeshi SIM number. Then they're going to send
Mhm.
you an OTP. If you are a foreigner and you do not have a Bangladeshi SIM at all, how do you expect to get the OTP in the first place? So I remember that they had like different booths, Wi Fi
Mhm.
booths in different, and you had to give your phone and then they had to type the password and they would connect for me. And that was so inconvenient. It didn't make
Yeah.
any sense. So obviously, overall, what I face is, regardless of the political situation, you
Mm-hmm.
are gonna enjoy abroad because the living standard is far greater. And whether what Bhai asked, whether I regret it, honestly, if I'm speaking, I was extremely passionate about doing research.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to pursue a PhD, and I still do. To be honest, I still do. I am still considering in the near future, if I see that I can do my business and my PhD hand on hand
Mm-hmm.
together, I would consider that because I'm really passionate about research. But would I regret coming back to country? I would regret, obviously. It would suck, but it is what it is. But regardless of whether you what political scenario you have in the country, anyone would regret coming back to Bangladesh. There would be a reverse culture shock for sure. So that would be my answer to that question, I'd say.
Often feel like outsiders in both places, like not Bangladeshi, not American. So, do you worry about being stuck in that in between? Like, do you feel like that Western thought process can influence you in future?
I think it does. I honestly, if I'm being completely honest with the viewers,
Mm-hmm.
currently I still feel the same. I feel like that this place is not my home. I belong there. And when I was over there, it felt like that place wasn't my home. I belong over here. So I'm currently in between. I'm still juggling between this feeling. Not gonna lie, it's not even
Mm-hmm.
been 2 months I've been back in Bangladesh, and I still feel the same. And Western culture does create a huge effect and impact on you. If I would like
Yeah.
to say, life in the US is very structured compared to Bangladesh. You have everything is over there is very structured. You know, at the end of the day, whatever input you give, you will have an output.
Mm-hmm.
If you give put in the effort, you'll get the output regardless in the US. But that's something which is completely absent in Bangladesh. You do not know whether you even if you give the input, whether you will get an output. Even if you work hard, you still have to resort to mama chacha khalus, and you have to resort to them like,
Yeah.
help me with this, help me with that. That's something which is completely absent in the US. If you give in the effort, you will
Mm-hmm.
obviously get the output. So there is obviously a Western culture shock. I felt when I first came here, this in the first week was, I immediately felt really bad. Not gonna lie, felt really bad. I was like, did I make a really bad choice here? I leave everything. It would be really difficult because I was finding it really difficult to adjust for the first month. Everything seemed so different. It felt like I didn't even belong here. And in the meantime, my friends who were here, they're trying to plan to leave abroad. So
Yeah.
it was a completely different situation. It's like the whole world when I came here changed, and I just do not belong here. And even the place where I stayed and the surroundings, everything
Mm-hmm.
changed. So you feel like you did not keep up with this place. And there is a Western culture shock, or a reverse culture shock, and a Western influence towards you, because life over there is completely different. It's very structured, and even if you feel a bit depressed, you can take on vacations. Domestic flights are
Yeah.
pretty cheap, but that's a luxury where you do not have in Bangladesh. And this sucks, and it will take some time to get used to. And currently, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still facing the same thing.
5 years from now, I guess I'm going back again and again into US. If you had stayed back in US, um, you could have been well with on your like
Yeah.
financial freedom. If not well, financial freedom, probably well off after 5 years with a settled job and everything. Can Bangladesh realistically, I guess, give you that, or are you sacrificing your personal comfort for this something bigger or better?
Can Bangladesh give me that? I came here with the hope that Bangladesh will give me that. So will be
Mm-hmm.
Bangladesh be able to give me that completely depends on me and my venture and other external factors as well. But
Yeah.
as far as I've seen businesses thrive in this community, Bangladesh can certainly give you that, but it's really difficult compared to abroad. I'm hopeful that it will. That's one of the reasons I came back here. Certainly, there will not be that structured. It won't be that structured as I've previously mentioned, but I'm
Yeah.
hopeful that I will be able to get a more structured or much more financial freedom. But I believe something which I won't have is independence. In
Mm-hmm.
Bangladesh, it's not a bad thing, but in Bangladesh compared to abroad, you're much more independent. You can do a lot of things. You can go here and there, or you can choose. You make your own decision. But in Bangladesh, you have to make decisions. Even if you do not stay with your family, you have to make decisions which are carried towards your family a lot, I would say. And you have to not only look after yourself, but after the people in your family, your friends, and everything. So, if financial, in terms of financial freedom, I'm not sure if I'm in a comfortable position to answer that currently because just starting in the entrepreneurship journey. But I'm hopeful and I'm very optimistic that it will be able to give me enough to survive and to go on trips. That's the only thing I look forward to. And Bhai, you had another question, Bhai, if you don't mind me asking again. It's not only about the financial freedom and
Yeah. So are you sacrificing your personal comfort? Like you could have achieved so much more probably if you were
uh,
staying back, right? Um, or this is if everything works out, this is something bigger, probably bigger than, as you said, I guess. If you don't take risks, you don't know, right?
am I sacrificing? Yes, I think I am sacrificing a lot of things. Because I remember when I first decided, I told my seniors the
Mm-hmm.
minute I came there, I plan on returning back home. And when I was taking that final leap, last month
Yeah.
just I quit my job, and for the last 1 month in the US, I traveled a lot. I traveled in different states, and
Mm-hmm.
whenever I used to see my close seniors over there and my friends over there, they used to ask me, "Are you really comfortable in taking this decision?" Like my job was going to sponsor me for my H1B. I had
Mhm.
a comfortable job. I was in a financial free position, and I
Yeah.
was in a stable position. So leaving everything behind and starting from scratch certainly is very daunting and very scary. But am I sacrificing? I currently believe I am, but I am very optimistic about it that this sacrifice will lead to something greater in the near future. So that is only thing I can hope for right now. So, but that would be my answer. Like, in order to want something greater in life, you have to sacrifice. And if I want the things which I want to achieve in my life,
Mm-hmm.
or if I want to become a good, successful entrepreneur, have a large company, being able to employ a lot of people, being able to create jobs, that is a much bigger thing in order to sacrifice my financial freedom, I would believe. Because I'm not only
Yeah.
doing something for myself, but I'm also trying to do something for others as well. So in the long term, if I am able to do that, I think it would be worth it, and it would be worth the sacrifice at that time.
And we hope that too.
Yeah. All the well wishes for that. So, what's your take on like your involvement in politics, like considering the current scenario or on the civic leadership side?
Youth involvement in politics. What if I would be a bit biased on that answer, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll be completely honest. What I faced, people in our country just do not care about politics anymore. And the youth in our country just do not. They just think that at the end of the day, regardless of which politician comes into power, they're not going to serve our purpose. They're going to serve their own purpose. And I completely understand that. And the number one people to blame are politicians. And it's kind of weird to say that as a politician's son, but I've seen a lot of weird stuffs in politics as well. And it's completely fine for people to assume that.
Mm-hmm.
And in order, as a youth, I'm 26 years old, I want to have someone in the leadership position, or it's not only in the hierarchy position or in people in the top tier, someone whom I can
Yeah.
relate to, someone of my age. There are not too many people who of my age into politics who are well known or who can create such a big impact for people to be more interested towards politics. Bangladesh is still inclined towards power politics. They are not into policies. Like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, in the current candidate in New York for mayorship, Zoran
Yeah.
Mamdani, he's
Yes.
very young and he's able to create a huge impact on the youth or the young people in their country.
Right.
And the policies which he wants to implement or the campaign which he is doing is completely to a youth centric. Someone, and that is something completely I would say is absent in our country. So as a youth, people have a lot of expectations, but I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
in this current scenario whether that expectation would be able to be fulfilled. But I'm very hopeful. regardless of what party comes. At the end of the day, in this current generation, or the Gen Z, what you'd like to call it, if you want to capture their vote, or if you really want to create an impact on their lives, it is very
Yeah.
important to change ourselves first. And politics in itself must change. And they must change by shifting from power politics and into policy
Hmm.
politics. If youth cannot relate, because people do not want, for instance, people just do not care. I mean, I'll give an example with the party which I'm in. People just do not care about, for instance, what Jubo Dol does, what Cheshire Dol does, what even Chhatra Dol does. They just cannot, they do not care if you can bring in 100 activists from their own party and do a
Hmm.
huge rally. They just do not care about that anymore. They just care that whether we are being able to do something which will genuinely impact their lives. And that's what I see is very absent. Most of the seniors or senior politicians are very, they just do not get try to understand the pulse of the people of the country, and that is something which if impacts the youth a lot, I would say. And as a youth, I do have expectations from the politicians of our country, regardless of the party. But I think only a few people are able to do that. But I'm very hopeful that sooner or later, when people see that it's not working anymore, they will change for themselves and for the youth
Hmm.
as well. So let's see how that goes. But current scenario doesn't look good for the youth, people of my age, if I'm being completely honest.
I definitely think that like Bangladesh needs change in political view, uh, at least for the youths, all the youth leaders. So, do you have any plan in near future to go into politics?
Coming from a political family, it's really hard to escape politics, regardless.
Yeah.
Whenever I go anywhere with my dad, when he has like different programs, I try to avoid the limelight. I just do not
Hmm.
go near the limelight at all, because I just do not find it fair that the people who are on the front stage, it took them 30 years, 40 years to reach that stage. And politics,
Yes.
nepotism is very, very, there, nepotism is completely filled in politics. And I understand that
Hmm.
not everyone would be willing to do politics unless if you're from the political family. And that's one other failure of the politicians. Um, if What I've seen is like it really is difficult for if but politics is all about service towards the
Hmm.
community. It's all about service. I think it might seem a bit cliche to say it, because that's not the case in our country, but it's all about service. The main reason if you want to join politics is being able to contribute something from your side towards a community.
Yes.
And if you think that there is no gap to fill to for your, or there's no want for yourself, or people do not want to receive you, or they do not
Hmm.
need you anymore, there's no point in going into politics. You'll just be a number in politics. So if I see in the near future, obviously in the current scenario, I do not see myself doing politics. I think politics is not the same as it was before. It has become extremely dirty, and it's not friendly. And what I've seen over the years, the people, not too many people or young people or good people in general are inclined towards politics, and that is one of the drawbacks. And the people who will be coming to power or are gonna come to power in the near future, regardless of the party, they, I think our country can produce much better leaders in different
Hmm.
positions. And one of the drawbacks would be that not as youth are not interested in politics, so people who are less, I would say, less deserving for that position go into that position. So to answer that question, whether I want to join politics is, it's all about a service. And if I think that my presence would
Hmm.
be lead to something good for the country, or I am able to work freely, independently, and do something for the country, I would love to do that. But in this current scenario, I'm very skeptical whether I'll be able to do that or not. So, and my dad completely, if I come from a political family, and the viewers might think that obviously Baba MP holo, Chelo MP hobe, or something like that.
Son of King Arvan and War Raven!
My dad is completely different. My dad never
Yeah.
wants me to be near politics. He never wanted me near politics because he saw how dirty it can be. And my dad, most of the
Hmm.
time, recently, my dad used tells me that he has become a member of parliament 3 times. He has seen enough, and he himself doesn't feel comfortable to do politics right now in certain senses. I'm not sure whether I should be saying this, but that's my candid conversation with him. So he, as a parent, you wouldn't want your son to be involved in something dirty as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I do not know whether I'm going to join politics or not. But I think in the current scenario in this age, you do not have to join politics in order to do something for the
Yeah.
country. But it certainly becomes easy for you to do something for the country if you are into politics. So in the near future, if I see that my service is required, or I am able to do something for the country in my own way and do something for the youth,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that. But that's for the future.
Well
Yeah.
said. You had a very good job at US. Had your first car. Probably if you stayed, you'd have bought your first house in few years also. Are you throwing away your American dream, or as you mentioned earlier, one of the visions that you said for your company was to so that people of all classes and all earnings can probably afford a housing.
Mm-hmm.
So are you building the new Bangladeshi dream? What is I guess yeah.
Am I, the first question is, am I sacrificing my American dream? Certainly I am.
Yeah.
And I had the most amazing 2.5 years in the America. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if a complete sane person would never leave America and come to Bangladesh, if I'm being honest, if he's completely sane, if he's very logical, there
Yeah.
is no reason, literally no reason to come back to Bangladesh. I do not see it. I just do not see it. But you, in order to do something great, you have to certainly be a bit crazy. I think that would have been, from
Mm-hmm.
my point of view, it would have been it has been a really crazy move. But am I creating the new Bangladeshi dream? I do not know, to be honest. But I certainly want to do something which is quite different and be remembered for it. So if that would be the Bangladeshi dream for our youth and for people in the near future to look forward to, I would love that. But Bangladeshi dream, to me, having dreams in Bangladesh is like a luxury, because even if you have a lot of dreams, but in Bangladesh, fulfilling them is like truly a luxury. Bangladesh, the best thing you can hope for is to survive
Mm-hmm.
this day. That's the best thing you can hope for. So in the near future, if I am able to create something impactful for the youth, and I am able to create something different, and that creates a huge impact. You can call it the Bangladeshi dream, but I'm not certain. But I would love to do something similar or create a wave similar to the new Bangladeshi dream, as you'd like to call it. But that's in the near future. But I'm hopeful that it might happen.
Yeah, I mean, as more and
Yeah.
more people like you are coming back and contributing to the country, I'm hopeful that we might see a change of wave, right? Let's be optimistic.
Uh, yeah, let's be optimistic, and
Mm-hmm.
we might see something like that. And what I've seen, the scenario in Bangladesh has changed a lot. There are so many
Right.
talented people in the country right now. It's so many talented people, and they're so passionate about their work, the work that they do, and about the work they are going to do in the near future. And that's something which motivates me a lot as well. The work ethic which some people in the country have is amazing, and not, don't get me wrong, there are people who has really strong morality ethics in this country, and seeing them makes me very hopeful for this country. And I'm pretty sure the July Revolution is one of the biggest examples for that. No one knew that we could
Yes.
do something. The youth of our country can do something like that, but they have done it. So overall, with time, things will change, and I'm very hopeful they will change at the end of the day. And the people, or the youth, or the young people like us, or in the near future, they are going to be the ones who are going to lead this change, I believe. So I'm extremely hopeful and optimistic in the near future that Bangladesh will certainly change a lot. I do not know about Dhaka with all this traffic jam and all, but in the near future, I'm still hopeful that Bangladesh will certainly change, and it'll change for the better.
So, some might say that you gave up on bigger opportunities abroad. Like, do you ever ask yourself if you just threw away a head start that most people might never get?
Yes. It is a head start, I would say, because getting
Hmm.
a scholarship abroad, I got a full scholarship. I'm pretty sure both of
Yeah.
you guys have gone through the same journey as well.
Hmm.
Getting a full scholarship abroad is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. Not regardless of the current funding scenario and everything, it's really difficult to get that head start, I would say,
Yes.
because life over there, or if you are going there with as a self-funded student, it's extremely expensive as well. So, did I leave or head start? I would say yes. I think that would it does create a huge head start because you get exposed to a different kind of environment over there, and the environment is completely different. You get to interact with different type of people of different culture,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone has different work ethics. You get to learn a lot about yourself and about the world as a whole, and that is an experience which will certainly give you a head start. And I did sacrifice it, but I honestly felt when I was working over there, I felt like to a certain degree I'm being caged. I do not know why, but I'm being caged. I just didn't like the fact that this in jobs it's completely it's the same for everyone. I believe that when you're working for a company, your financial position, there's a cap.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
in this position, you're gonna earn this much. In that position, you're gonna earn that much.
Yeah.
So I just didn't like that cap, to be honest. In entrepreneurship, you can earn either $0, which is a huge risk, or you can earn a lot of dollars or a lot of money. So that is one of the position. Like there are certainly opportunities and head starts available, but there are also drawbacks or restrictions for us international students. We cannot do a lot of things, even if we want to. So did I sacrifice a head start? I think I sacrificed a certain head start in the
Mm-hmm.
abroad in order to gain a huge head start over here as well, because certainly leaving that position would is still opening doors for me over here as well. So in the near future, if I'm able to go into a certain position where I'll be looking forward to that, where my life abroad, I would certainly see it not as a head start or sacrificing that head start, or as a turning point in life. So it's how you see the position or how you see your sacrifice in life, which determines what how your overall outlook of your life. So I wouldn't say it like I'm sacrificing a huge head start,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just leaving something short term in order for something a huge gain in the long term, I would say.
Absolutely. So, uh, if I say like 10 years from now, when people get the chance to judge your choice, like, do you want them to see as a bravery or as a calculated gamble?
There is no such thing as calculated gamble to me in my book, to be honest. I do not see that. Like people say that this is a calculated risk.
Yeah.
Like, I just never face this, to be honest. I don't know how a gamble can be calculated. Like it's either you fail or you succeed. There's no gamble over here. So bravery is like, I wouldn't say it's a bravery as well, because
Mm-hmm.
that would be a bit too, in my terms, that would be a bit narcissistic if I say that I'm doing something brave. But I think it's really hard to describe it, but this is certainly this is something. What I'd like to see it is something to gain in the near future. At the end of the day, money motivates you,
Yes.
regardless of whatever you do. Money does motivate you, but in my life, the position where I am in, I believe purpose motivates me more than money. Whether it's a calculative risk or it's
Mm-hmm.
bravery, it's definitely not a calculated risk or a gamble because I just do not see it happening. But whether it's bravery is for the people to decide at the end of my journey. If I won't be there to see it or hear it anymore, but
Mm-hmm.
at, after everyone's gonna die at the end of the day. So if my death, if people call me brave, I won't be able to hear it or see it. That would be amazing to see, to be considered as brave. So that would certainly be amazing, but that's not something for me to say, to be honest. That would be completely narcissistic. So
So, Sibgat, thank you so much for sharing your journey. Your story forces us to rethink what success really means, whether it's chasing opportunity abroad is the only path, or coming back to home to build something better might be also a braver choice. We'll be watching closely to see how your chapter unfolds. We'll come back with another guest next episode. Stay connected with us on all the platforms. And we appreciate you very much for joining us today.
And all the best
uh,
wishes for your future endeavor.
Thank you so much, Bhai, for inviting me to this podcast. And I wish you guys both, you guys are doing amazing. I watched all the episodes for the podcast, and so far it's been amazing. And I'm pretty sure you guys will do something very different in the podcast community, especially in this community we are in. And I'm very hopeful and congratulate both of you for this podcast. And I'm wishing both of you success in life as well.